Hi, I was just thinking how simple awareness really is. I don't mean it's simple to stay in awareness, but how simple it is and how we confuse what it is. It's simple because it's a lot like just walking into a room and turning on a light and seeing what's there. Getting to the switch, now that's another story. The interesting thing, though, is that a lot of people think that awareness is a rational understanding or an intellectual understanding or an explanation of what's there and what's going on, and so it's really complicated. But actually, awareness is seeing what's in front of you right now, just turning on the light. Now that's the issue, though, isn't it? How do you turn on the light? Yesterday I was talking to you about the multiplicity of the self. Really an important concept. Concept? Is it a concept? Well, I don't know. It's an experience for sure. If you turn on the light inside of yourself just for a second, look around in there. Take a breath. Imagine that breath full of light, because it really is, and oxygen, and follow it inside your body and through your mind, and just notice as you go what you see. Notice that you might see something from your past, or you might see that your stomach aches, or you might see a number of things. But you need light in order to see. You don't need a lot of light. Last night I took my dog for a walk at 2 in the morning because she had a stomach ache, and we had a tiny flashlight. She's a really big dog, so I don't worry about walking with her at night. And she's white. But you know, a tiny light can help you see what's there if you just shine it around. So when you're dealing with addiction, and that's what we're talking about really, it's important to know what's there in the house, what's there inside your head, what's there especially inside your body. And addiction always brings up the whole issue of whether it can be controlled rationally. Controlled. Now that's an interesting word applied to addiction, because anybody who's ever been successful in dealing with it knows that it controls you. You don't control it at all, and so there has to be some sort of shift in your thinking or in your awareness. You have to see what you're dealing with here. And part of what you deal with in addiction is the ego, because the ego thinks that it has control, or should have, right? So when you're dealing with addiction, if you look at the experience of being addicted to anything, whether it's fear and the need to meddle in other people's lives, tell people what to do, have everything absolutely, totally tidy, or get crazy drunk, or shoot up, or whatever it is you do, if you think about what the experience is like, if you look at it in your body, actually, even things like meddling or fear are definitely in your body. You know that? Isn't it? Isn't that where you can find it? That all of a sudden you have this sort of panicky feeling, maybe like right here or in your stomach, and then you just have to do something. So it's in your body. If you look at that, if you just turn the light on for a moment, it's really weird to think about letting go of that, since it appears to have a hold of you. How do you let go of something that has a hold of you? Now that's a thought, isn't it? Now that's one of the very first ways that the ego confuses things, and actually there is nothing the ego hates more than the 12 steps of AA or 12 steps of anything, because they all begin with an awareness like turn on the light, hey, that you don't have a hold of it, it has a hold of you. You see, if you have a hold of it, there's no problem letting go. You just go, bing, open your hand, right? That's right. But if it has a hold of you, that's a whole different story. And when we're talking about addiction, if you think about your experience of it, that is precisely right. It has a hold of you. And it's part of you. If you have an addiction going on, you have a part of your physical brain that has learned to have that experience. Again, it's like phantom pain. You know, there's a whole neurological system connecting feelings, thoughts, body states, and awareness. And I use that word carefully there. I think it's perception. Connecting all of those with the past. So if you have an addiction going, you have a brain, neural system, body system that was developed in the past, and it'll suck you right back there. It's like a vortex, because certain things are believed to be true and they're perceived to be true. Like, I just can't possibly feel that, or maybe I can have just one, or this is going to be the last time I do this, or oh, it's nobody's business. So, interesting thing. If you had a hold of the thing, then of course all of those things would be true, and you wouldn't have a problem with addiction. But addiction is when a part of you grabs hold of the rest of you that pushes them all out of the way and just takes over the show. So the first step is just about awareness of what's in the room, like what's in the head, what's in life. Because there are some things that have a hold of you. And if they do, they have to be approached a different way. If something has a hold of you, sometimes just going slack, just like, letting go, seeing it, helps. Now, if you're afraid, that's really tough, or if you have a lot of pride invested, it's really tough. But I, for one, have had things that had a hold of me, and I couldn't let go, and it didn't help me much to try. And it certainly didn't help me much when other people told me. You can tell I have a little bit of a problem with authority. I mean, other people assuming authority over my life. Oh, they can't really do that, can they? Unless I think they can. You see, so there are parts of you, or parts of me, or parts of any human being that can just sort of take you over. And the first step is just like turning on the light and going, oh my gosh, I'm in the grip here of something that is way bigger than I am. You know, like it's standing on my throat or my chest. And it won't let me up, and I'm all tied up. What in the world do I do? Well, one of the first things you just have to do in that situation is go slack. Surrender, that word really sucks, doesn't it, when you're tied up? But it appears to be necessary in response to reality, because if you fight the thing, if you try to let go of something you don't have a hold of, well, it just does not work, because it's not being aware. So awareness just has to do with knowing what you're up against, seeing it at least, seeing the foot standing on your throat, seeing the empty bank account, seeing the last fight, seeing the part of your mind that really thought it knew what was going on and didn't. Oh my God. Seeing the part of you that thinks you can actually step in and save somebody. All those things have a hold of you. If you know that, the first step is a relief, not because it's good news, but because it's true news. It's after you get on that, after you get that sometimes the thing that has you in its grip will let you go. But you have to have a fair amount of humility. Sometimes you just have to ask it. Like, hey man, could you let me go? Sometimes it does, you know. The interesting thing about fight or flight, when critters are being chased by a predator and then they get caught or knocked down, they go paralyzed. They just leave their body. They like give up. Sometimes the predator doesn't want you unless you're fighting. Hope you have a good day. Hope you notice all the parts of you that are in you. Because when you're noticing, you can't notice unless you have the light on. See you later.